What's up, everybody? How the heck are you doing? Welcome to another edition of Evening Alpha. It is Tuesday. I hope if you're in the States, you had a wonderful and beautiful Labor Day weekend. You know, I did. I ended up working because that's what I do. Like, I'm sitting by the pool, drinking a little bit, cramming like hot dogs and burgers in my face. But at the same time, I'm also checking Discord. It's the weirdest thing ever. Like, it's like Discord and a hamburger, Discord and a hot dog. And now today is like I'm back on like a diet or something because I just lose all control on holidays. It's just the worst. But anyway, welcome. And so we have a wonderful guest tonight. As you guys know, we do a lot of talking with just top-notch founders, entrepreneurs in the Web3 space, people who are actually doing legitimate projects, kicking ass and taking names. And I'm really happy to say that trend continues tonight. We have the one, the only Jordan from NFT Film Squad. What is up, the squad? How are you?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm giddy.
Hell yeah. Great. Awesome. Me too. So real quick. So what on earth, what's the squad about?
The NFT Film Squad is the original media collective that's been producing content on Web3 and film since I founded it in February 2021. And we're also the foundation of Film 3. So if you've seen that hashtag floating around, we are pretty much the instigators, the catalyst, and the builders of Film 3.
Awesome. So like, what is that? So it's interesting because, you know, you've been around a minute and so kind of like us with adult fantasy, you know, when we launched adult fantasy and we announced ourselves as a decentralized storytelling project. I mean, there was only like maybe like you guys and maybe like one or two other, like there really wasn't that many people like at all. No. And I think, and tell me if you think this is true, because I'm really genuine, especially someone that's been around a minute, like after going through the bull run of last year, right? And you had, I mean, it just, everybody was dropping PFP projects and, you know, my background's in animation and television, you know, so I've got 150 commercials under my belt with animated commercials and pilots and music videos, toys, comics, you name it. And so when I came in and I saw that like these people who, you know, I mean, half the people are anonymous, so you don't know who they are, but everybody was pitching a pilot or an animated show. And yeah. I was just like, there's no fucking way. There's no way. Like maybe certainly some of these projects are going to have animated shows, but you could kind of tell by how they were pitching themselves that they either didn't know what they were doing or were hoping and dreaming that just because they would get some money from a drop that they would be able to pay for the production of a show, but they didn't understand the mechanics of it. And so when we came out, especially with my background, I mean, I got 20 years in animation, 20 plus. And people were like, well, you're an animator, you're an animation director. Why isn't animation on your roadmap? And I was like, well, because I've done it for 20 years and I know how hard it is. Like, I'm not stupid. Like we'll put it on the roadmap when it's like locked in. And so from your perspective, you know, with 2021 behind us, all of a sudden it's almost like there's been a switch where all of a sudden like everybody's coming at it from the other side of story. All of a sudden storytelling is the core. There's so many good real storytelling projects. So yeah. I'm curious as to your perspective on web like Film 3 and storytelling and maybe the differences that you saw from like when you got in last year or whatever to now. Like what do you think?
How long do you have?
Yeah, let's do it.
No, seriously, that's a massive question, and I think it's a great question because when all those PFP projects dropped, and you know, you can't include Bored Ape Yacht Club here because they set the pace, they set the tone, and Yuga Labs and their you know partnership with Gaio Siri and things like that, that sets them apart. Because they were the trailblazers. But you know, unfortunately, a lot of projects came in with what you're talking about, and they took advantage of the bull market, and they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They didn't know, by the way, that, and you know this, animation, great animation, you know, what is that, $1 million a minute?
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but for real, like that's the cost. I had a conversation with the Stoner Cats about that and why they thought that they could pull off an animation like they did. And they have I don't know, pretty well-known cast, Mila Kunis, Ashton Kutcher,
Yeah,
James.
they're venture backed. I mean,
Um,
they're pretty
and
good.
yeah, but they realized, and we just had them in our space about a month ago. They realized that this is not sustainable. It's not sustainable. So, what I guess one of the things is that you see the PFP projects that came in and they were all like, yeah, we're going to do these great things. And some of them are, you've got to give kudos to like Time Magazine, what they're doing with Robotos, with the, for the kids. And there's a lot of other, PFP projects that truly are, they got enough funding through that bull market and they're going to be doing some really, really cool things. But from my point of view, I'm so happy for this build market. I'm so happy for this bear market. I'm so happy that a lot of the riffraff is gone. I feel for the paper-handed people, but I was here for crypto much longer than that. And I know what it means to be a diamond-handed person. And I know that those of us that build day by day, strong and steady, because we're building, especially if we've been in the business. If we've been in this business and we've been knocked on our fucking ass, we know we pick up, we dust off our shoulder, and we keep going, right? So that's why I get super excited about where we are now, because I'm not going to lie. There's you have no idea what's coming down the pipe with Virtue Animation. I do, because they're my partners in a bunch of stuff. So they're getting ready to blow the top off of animation, and that's because they come legitimately with Web3 ethos. They move with the Web3 ethos of decentralization, of community, the community owning the IP. They have deep backgrounds in Web3, as well as Bob Bacon is the ex vice president of Disney, so he comes with years of experience in animation. So I feel like on that, you're going to see some of the legacy guys that are true degens elevate the space in a great way. And they're not the only ones. I mean, I could make a list of some incredible, animation projects. And of course, then you've got your narrative and your TV series and all sorts of things coming in.
It's so interesting. You mentioned a couple of things that really, really stuck out. I mean, I'm taking notes here because it was really interesting. You mentioned a couple of things. First, I love that you called it a build market, right?
Yeah.
It's a bear market, but it's a build market. And likewise, there's a direct correlation between the bear market and all of a sudden you're not seeing so many scams in the blogs every day.
Correct.
Where did all the scams go? Well, they left because they think the money's gone. They'll come back. They're going to come back.
Yeah.
And they'll come back with a vengeance when the money's here. But it's so important. I think it's such a smart way to look at things, to say this is a build market. This is the time you wanna crush shit when everything is quiet.
Yes.
And this is what we talk about this all the time. It's one of the things. If you look at the people who became major influencers in 2021, the people who basically took over, have the biggest audiences, the fattest bags, whatever you want to call it, those people came in, most of them in 2016, 2017. They came in during the last build market.
Sure.
Maybe they came in the last bull market and kind of had to write it down. And then they were positioned properly enough so that they could write it back up because they knew what to expect, right? Bingo. They were ready for it.
I always want to bring this up, and so I'm going to do it now. To me, this is the same if you're trading stocks. If you're really paying attention, this is not the moment to sell. This is the moment to accumulate. This is the moment to build your position. So that's what Squad does. That's what I do. I'm building a stronger position for us, a stronger foundation as a leader, and we've shown up. So it's the same for any project here. The opportunity to just build is again, in the stock market, the opportunity to build your positions instead of selling means that a lot, because the stock market goes up 70% of the time historically, if you pull all the way back since 1920.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's the same thing to me. It's the exact same thing. This is how you make generational wealth. This is how you become a project that becomes a legacy project from the 2021, Web3 to Film 3. I mean, in our niche, right?
Yeah.
This is how you become that project that lasts 50 years or longer.
Yeah, that's another thing that I think I think you and I have in common is that I talk a lot about longevity and legacy. And, when we first hopped in, it's been very easy for me to publicly say that I'm in this for the rest of my career. Yeah. Like I can easily say that I'm in this, God willing that I'm healthy and, nothing happens. Right. But aside from anything outside of my control, I can easily say that I'll be here for at least the next 25, 30 years. And I can say that because I've already done it for 25 or 30 years. Like, what are you going to do? Like all I have to do is keep doing what I've been doing for the last 25 years. Like, there's no difference. It's just it's like, oh, it wasn't like learning everything from scratch. It was like just doing this. That's it. I just moved 1 degree over and said, oh, okay, everything that I'm now doing and I have been doing for the last 25 plus years, I'm just going to move it over 1 degree and focus on with like Web3 and blockchain. But and the history comes with you. Your background comes with you. Everything that you worked on comes with you. So it's very easy. People say, well, how can you say that? Or how do we know you're not a rug? And I'm like, well, have you seen, like, A, I'm public, and B, have you seen what I've done in the last 20 plus years? Yeah. Like, what am I doing now? What are we doing as a project now and as a company now? And what have we been doing for 25 years? Is there any other than the technology? Now, if no, then you have your answer, right? I'm not going to just magically disappear because all of a sudden blockchain. I've been doing animation and comics and art shit my whole life, toys, you name it, I've done it. So of course I'm going to bring that into Web3. So the idea, what I think is fascinating to me about the squad and what you're building is, and you said it yourself, is that it's designed, what you're building is designed to outlast you, right? It's designed to be here and be like, it has to be set. And I'm actually really interested to talk to you about this, because one of the things that we do and one of the challenges of the project is everything that we build is done from the perspective of how does it outlast us, right? Meaning, if we launch a technology, or if we launch, even when we launch contests or new projects, all the stuff that we're trying to build up and all the stuff that we're inventing for people to take part in the universe and get rewards from the success of the project and everything that we have coming out, it's all designed to eventually live without us. And this is something that has to be done from the jump, right? It's very difficult to have everything centered around you as a founder or as a person, and then just magically have it transfer over to a massive community that's like, what the fuck? So how are you guys dealing with this?
I've got to be told, I have been having this conversation all week with my partner Julian. I probably had it with him when he first came on. So I was doing the squad. I started the squad, if you don't know, with 4 other women, amazing women. El Tusi, who's an incredible journalist and documentary filmmaker. Corinne Weber's incredible Hollywood producer. I'm going to just say they're all incredible. And Landy Slattery, because they are. They're extraordinary women. Landy Slattery works for BBC, and Soviabla, who's an emerging actress in London. And they were the only people that I could find at the time that were interested in filmmaking. This was February 2021. And so I bring them up because, I have been the one who had the vision, sustained the vision, and I'm still here. They're doing extraordinary things, all 4 of them. But Julian came on because there came a point, especially when we really exploded the Film 3 movement in March, at the end of March, when that kind of like blew open. There was just no way I could handle everything.
It's so much work.
Twitter to just trying to keep an eye on the vision and lead a movement, right? So the conversation I had with him initially was this, and in fact, I had this conversation with my good friend Mihai from Beam, who's a very beloved advisor. If you don't know Beam, the distribution platform. Um, and I was like, this is, you have to understand that the squad it has to come to a point where, God forbid, I die tomorrow, that the squad is robust enough to go on. That the community is strong and that the vision is there, and they happen to have seen my mind map, so they know where we're going. But I keep that very stealth because we didn't make a Satoshi until we dropped a membership pass 10 days ago. And we still haven't made a lot of Satoshis. And actually, I don't think they're Satoshis. I think they're ethers or ethers. But we didn't drop in the bull market because I don't know about you guys, but because it was never a cash grab. It was always about building, and finding people and how we could amplify and elevate and make their lives better. So to bring this back to the squad and legacy and you guys and the same sort of thing, yeah, I think that the people that I admire, look, I really love Nipsey Hussle. The marathon continues.
Yeah.
And the marathon continues because he laid such an incredible legacy and a community, and he changed community so much, and he elevated so many people, and he inspired so many people. So I'm hoping that the squad is, as we grow as a brand, as we grow as all the different things that I hope that we become. I always say that Ava DuVernay is probably my greatest inspiration for this. And because, she started out, trying to make a better world for Black people and women. And Array does that. And it started as a distribution company and then became, there was an arm for education. And then they have, a creative directory and all sorts of things. So that's going to outlive Ava. And Ava will be a legend that she is, but Array or some form of Array will outlive that. Do you get me?
Yeah, I totally get you. I mean, it's so interesting. It surprises me, and maybe this is just my assumption. It could totally be an assumption on my part. But one of the things that attracted me the most to the NFT blockchain space was the idea of immutability and permanence, right? Because as a creator, you're always looking for something. You always want permanence for your work, of course. But I was really intrigued by the idea that you could, if we work hard and you're willing to put in that blood, sweat, and tears into something that will most likely take the rest of your life if done properly. If you're and you're not in it just to IPO or exit, right? If you're really going at it from a legacy perspective, you have the ability to build something that will be here for hundreds of years. And I don't think we understand the concept of what the blockchain actually is. Like consciously we understand, blockchain is forever, blockchain is permanence, smart contracts, immutability, yada, yada, yada. But you don't see a lot of projects taking advantage of really understanding. And I do think the storytelling space is different, which is why I love it. But a lot of projects that are out there, and we'll just say, without calling names, we'll just say like a lot of people in the PFP space. They're just kind of like, they do the thing and they're good and they're gone, or they drop the next thing and they're moving forward and they might be making cash and they're developing, but there's not a lot of, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of thought going on behind the scenes about like, hey, this is a 100-year project. How do we actually build things now that can actually be, how do we build and tweak the machine right now so that when the keys have to be handed over, this thing can still move on its own, and it won't even be a bump. Because by the time in a perfect world, assuming we have good health and we have the time and resources to do what we need to do, when your hand opens and that key is passed, it should already really have been passed. So it'll almost be like, oh, cool, thanks. It's not a crash and burn and everyone's like, fuck, like, what do we do? Fires, and people are like, it's over. And like you see that right now already. How many projects have you seen where the founder, something happens, the founder leaves or a team member leaves or whatever. Things happen, right? But if it's not built from the jump, if there isn't the idea that this thing is going to be around, people flood the shit out of it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think, and I don't know how about you, but I mean, not to say, you know, look, we've had our share of flood, especially when we launch and stuff, but like, we're kind of flood proof at this point. And I don't say that lightly. Like, it doesn't matter what you say. Like, it's like, okay, thanks for coming, you know, like, we'll be here tomorrow, you know? So, and that's because we have a sense of belief and an understanding that we're going to be around. Like, sure. You know?
I mean, I think we really align on that. I didn't come into this. I mean, I came into crypto earlier. So I've already been through a couple of moments where it's like, once you get used to 40% swings and they don't make your stomach flip, you're okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And it's the same with the stock market. It's like, I don't even pay attention. I'm like, it's okay. It goes down, it's coming back up. But, you know, I didn't get into this thinking, well, look, let me say this. At first, the moment was, wow, I can actually maybe mint something on the blockchain. And I did eventually. But again, once again, I didn't jump in to mint anything that was in my hard drive because nothing felt right, right? The right moment, because this is provenance. This is history. And I knew that. So making the squad, like you're saying, from the very beginning was a sense of 100 years, a sense of permanence, a sense of legacy, because I knew that we were at the absolute beginning of an innovation that was going to change film.
Yeah.
Now, I'm changing a lot of things, but since this is my focus.
Yeah, for sure.
I knew this was the moment of the internet. Just like Bitcoin, everyone was like, I hate that I missed out on Bitcoin. I was like, well, you don't have to miss out on this. You know, it's here in your hand again. Yeah. So, yeah, I would like to say that the squad is always, I mean, it's like why I move very slowly. And if people don't understand what the squad is, I go, look back over the last 18 months of the consistency of me showing up every single day, brick by brick, laying a pathway, not just for the squad, for everyone who's coming into the Film 3 ecosystem. That's why it's so much bigger than the squad. I mean, the squad is a foundation we've been building, right? To launch off of, to amplify. That's what we've done. We've amplified, we've supported, we've built. And you know, I don't know about you guys, but to have finally dropped the squad member pass was really only so that like I could get a community manager.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Pay, I don't know, my electric bill. I mean, you know what I mean? So
I do.
It's the idea is so much bigger than this moment. The where we're going to be, what I saw in February 2021, I couldn't have anticipated January 2022. January 2022, and we like to call it the trifecta, was when I dropped Red Flags as a one-of-one piece of art, and Claire Silver, who's a fucking OG legend, picked it up. And then Julie Pacino a week before had sold out Keepers of the Inn.
Right.
And then Miguel Faust had just arrived on scene, and I asked him to start doing one of the squad rooms because I knew he really walked with the Web3 ethos. And Calladita became, you know, one of the projects that we really amplified a lot. And in fact, if you don't know this, they both went into production this week.
Hey, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
On Saturday and Calladita on Monday. And yes, and then the squad pass happened to also drop the same week. So it's the trifecta moving.
So tell me more about the squad. So how do you like empower and help these filmmakers? Like what's involved? If there's a filmmaker out there who's either in Web3 or about to be in Web3 and they've never heard of you guys, like what is it that you actually do, and how do you help filmmakers?
Well, I think first of all, we're a built-in community at this point, right? So we plug them straight in. And I can't say it's all the squad. I think it's Web3. I think that there is a core ethos of Web3 that is generosity and kindness. And so you find, and we've been making a joke about the PFPs, the rugs, and the bull market, and they're not here. That did exist, and it does exist, and it's going to exist again. But the true believers, the ones with conviction and passion like us, who are really building in the build market, the whole point of the squad was to empower the creator, empower the filmmaker.
Yeah.
How do we do that? Well, we have 4 spaces a week now on Twitter. That's one way that we do it. And we can amplify people because we get people that come in. We pretty much have the alpha, and we pretty much, drop the new alpha because you know how fast it all moves.
Oh, yeah.
Like lightning. So, but I think that we lead people, we amplify them, we give them eyes. We talk to people about micro and macro actions. So let's say that, for instance, someone watching today can't afford a squad pass, or they can't afford what you're minting. What they can do is a micro action, because they've got people that follow them, and that is part of the community. And you can amplify by a retweet, and that's a micro action where you might not be able to buy the NFT or the token, but someone in your community can.
Right.
And so there are many ways to amplify, to help build. One of our most incredible, I think, members, and he came around June last year, is Jason Charnick. And Jason Charnick has 20 years in post-production. And he ended up doing post on Red Flags on mine and really helping me figure out. And here's the thing. A filmmaker comes in and they're like, yeah, I'm going to mint my film. I'm like, no, you're not.
Right.
Let me tell you why. Because OpenSea only gives you 100 megabytes. Do you know how to compress that?
Right.
Rare. Wow, they really dig you. They give you 50 megabytes.
Right. Yeah.
Your 4K film. So yeah, no, you're not going to compress that down. But then we help guide them, because there's manifold, and you have someone like Jason that comes in with incredible generosity and technical ability to help people navigate this world. And so that's what we do. We educate. It's another part of the arm of what we do. And we amplify and elevate and make sure that people know about each other. Partnerships have happened. One of the best partnerships that the squad helped is with DCP Pictures and Bingeable, which is a distribution platform, and they've got a lot of announcements coming down the pike. So it's things like that. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like, how do you qualify or quantify? I don't know even which word to use, but
how do you figure that? How do you check the value of that?
Yeah, how do you check the value of that? Because I think one of the, I was getting ready to drop like an 80 tweet thread. Do you think that's possible?
I don't even know, but I would read it if you did it.
Yeah, TLDR, too long to read. Yeah, but I still might, because that's not even all the projects that we've amplified.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
right.
But all of those projects, most of them are thriving.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Before we jump in further, I'm going to give a shout out to everybody in chat. We got Willie D. What's up? LFG. Welcome, Willie D. How you doing? Disrupt Events. How you doing, Disrupt? Let's go. Welcome, Disrupt. Dusty. What's up? LFG. Natasha. Welcome, Natasha. Let's go. And she says, wash hands, the squad. What's up? KG, how you doing? Evening, everyone. What's up, KG? Thanks for showing up. And Ray, just what's up, man? Hey, y'all. How you doing? Awesome. Yeah, you guys kick ass. Thanks for coming. Thanks for stopping by too. Yeah. So what do you think is, so here's the question for you. So we both agree that this is, we agree that longevity is the answer. We agree that it's a build phase. It's a build market, to use your terms. And we also know that because longevity and legacy is such a huge factor. And I think a lot of storytelling projects have this. because we're focused on the long term, one of the things that I think storytelling projects, and I think this is most storytelling projects, there are outliers, but they are outliers. Most of the storytelling projects that I know, they're not Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? They're not like what Cool Cats did right after Bored Ape Yacht Club.
Yeah.
Right. They're not PFP projects. They're not necessarily the hot shit at that spark moment. So what? And I agree with you. I think what we do as well is that we understand that, like the squad, building a community and building an amplifiable network is so huge. It's so important. And I certainly think that that's a key for longevity. Where do you see this stuff going? Like, I mean, obviously I think it's easy to say like, we're both going to be it's going to be a bear market for a minute. Like, I don't think we're coming out in 6 months. I think it's going to be a minute. And I don't know, it might be, I have no idea, but I'm looking at charts and graphs, as I'm sure you do. Like, it looks to me like we just hit a perfect 4-year bull cycle. So that another, I'm looking at 2025 as like the next potential massive bull run.
Wow. Well, here's the thing. You've been in the business 20 something years. I've been in the business 20 something years. So I remember when there was like a big bull market in like 1990 something, and everybody was getting rich. And I was like, huh, I was an actor filmmaker. I wasn't getting rich. And then there was a big crash, and everybody was like, oh my God, the economy is tanked. I'm like, huh, well, I'm an artist. I'm a filmmaker. It hasn't touched me. It hasn't changed anything for me. And I think that gives us an edge.
Yeah.
I think that gives us an incredible edge because we have dealt with rejection in one of the most difficult businesses, a business that requires you to, and this is a big conversation I have a lot, and it's a shout out to Tony Tai, who actually really brought it up for the first time. Dignity, the dignity that was constantly being asked for us to surrender just to get an IP picked up by a gatekeeper so that they could, produce the film or TV or animation or whatever and put it out to their audience.
Yeah.
I think that once you go through all of that groveling that you did, so they would say yes to your project, and now you have freedom, and you have freedom with your IP, and in your community that you can. They're not only your audience, but they're your co-creators. They're your amplifiers. They're everything. They are your people. They're your tribe. They're your squad. And I want this build market to kind of stick around because I want to build that. And where are we going to be? I don't know. I think that the Film 3 Summit in October in Los Angeles is going to help onboard a lot of people, because you asked me earlier, did I expect to see where we are now starting in February 2021? Fuck no.
Right.
February blew my mind, and then March blew my mind when we kind of were like, that's when we instigated the Film 3 movement, and 6 weeks later I was at Cannes and someone was saying, hey, you want to speak on a Film 3 panel? And I'm like, what? Hey, what? Do you even know where that's from?
Yes.
No, we don't. Right? And every time I see it, like I saw it in Spanish yesterday on Twitter, it was like Film 3, the next evolution in cinema. And I was like, what? So to get to your point, I think that by December, we're going to see, look, here's what I think. There are some great stealth projects that are starting to come above ground. Building in stealth. And we're not talking about like someone like me who's an independent filmmaker. We're talking about someone with major teams and some money behind them, but actually do move with the Web3 ethos. Right. And that's important to me. That's like that's always my number one like litmus test.
Yeah.
Are you Web3 or are you a wolf in sheep's clothing?
And there are a few of them out there, man. There are a few of them out there. We could talk. I don't want to blast anybody live, but there are some out there. Yeah, I know, you got to hold it in.
I am the worst. Everyone, thank God for WhatsApp, because I do a lot of that pissing and moaning on WhatsApp where people are.
Yes,
So
yeah.
yeah, I'm very protective of what we're building for again, I go back to the future of filmmakers. And while I really believe I want to make a world that's more equitable, especially for marginalized and underrepresented communities, as a woman, as an LGBTQIA member of whatever, member of that community, you know, but even there are a lot of voices that I think that can be heard because of this new innovative technology, and there's a real opportunity here for us to make sure that culturally our world becomes richer,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm very protective of those wolves in sheep clothing coming in, and I have been known to blast them. But at the same time, I'm trying to be a little bit better about that. But I do think that by December, we're not, once again, I don't think we're going to recognize. In fact, I actually have a show tomorrow in my OG squad space, and it's about how Film 3 is getting ready to go stratospheric, because
Yeah.
of some things that I know that are getting ready to happen. And
There's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, especially like a show like Evening Alpha, we get to talk to so many people. And full disclosure, like we had discussions really early on. We were just getting ready to go, and we said, well, let's focus on storytelling. That's the area we're in, the kind of the Web3 storytelling space. And we were like, yeah, well, we'll invite everybody that we know, and everyone that we want to know, right? And we'll talk to people. And then when we run out of storytelling projects, maybe we'll move on to other things. And that was, I mean, we're 30 episodes in, and it's actually getting bigger, not smaller.
for sure.
And if you had told me that again 3 months ago, I would have been like, really? I don't know. I don't really. I mean, I know a few people. There's definitely more people now than back then.
Are
But
you kidding me?
it's just rolling, man. There's so many.
Are you kidding me? Come on. I've done 300 episodes, I think. And we never stop talking about story.
Right. Yeah.
Story is why we're all here. Story is why the PFPs are here. What are they doing? What are they promising their people?
Yeah.
Story. Here's a story. Here's a world. We're building a world for you. You can create story inside that world with you can go license this story about this lemonade or whatever. You can
Well, isn't it, Jordan? Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny? Like one of the things that I've again, this is especially because we're both OGs on the filmmaking and the storytelling side. Even I kind of make fun of being an OG in NFTs and stuff, because it's like you've been here 2 days, you're an OG, but with the whole storytelling thing, it's like, okay, when you come from the other side and you've been doing it for a long time. It has been very fascinating to watch these other projects who have bigger launches, than most people, and they do the right thing, quote unquote, the right thing when it comes to their launches and building a community and getting that hype. That hype cycle is on fire. So boom, they got it sold, and then you see them scramble. And I can see it because I know what happens and I know how this works. And you don't see it publicly. Everything is Rico Suave on the surface. But on the back end, you can smell the sweat, right? Because all of a sudden they're trying to figure out story and we've got 10,000 people or 5,000 people with 10,000 pieces, and we got to make a story and build the world. And what ends up happening is they end up putting some kind of cobbled together universe or story that tries to bolt on all the stuff that people have already purchased or the things they've already said. And when you do that, I'm not saying that it can't work, because it certainly can, but it's so much harder. It's so much harder than if you said, we're starting with the story first.
Yeah.
The story comes first. The universe comes first. What you're building comes first. Point A to point Z. Let's figure out. You don't have to have everything. You don't have to have the whole, you don't have to be George R.R. Martin about it. You know what I mean? You don't have to be like the whole freaking thing or whatever, but you have to have some clue as to what's going to happen and where the plot's going to go and how the story is going to move, so that the thing that you're bringing people into fits nicely.
Totally.
Right?
I mean, this is why I'm not going to shout out or troll the ones that are working. But I'm going to say this is why French Drifters is done so beautifully.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So it's one of my favorite projects, and I was super sick, and I was on the allow list, and I'm just going to bitch for a moment that I missed my opportunity because I was in bed with an ear infection because I think that they're going to be epic.
I think they're friends of the show. We just had an AMA with them on Friday and some other fantastic projects.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. So
yeah, Fringe is fantastic.
They are incredible. And they're incredible because they're a super tight team and community, right?
Well, I think that's a great example. Like everything they put out is like it already, even if, and I want to make it clear to everybody who may be listening, who what's that?
We're not being paid. I'm not being paid for this.
Yeah. No. Well, I want to make it clear for everyone who might be listening, who is thinking about jumping into Web3 or jumping into Film 3 and thinking about making a project. It's not that you have to have the entire script written and every T crossed and I dotted. It's Julie
Pacino did not have a script written.
Yeah.
In January, when she sold out the very first NFT strategy feature film to sell out, right? She had no script.
Right.
Just an idea.
But you have the idea, but you understand, because as long as you understand the concept of what you're making, you can start to drop things and create things that fit into a bigger direction and a bigger plan. And some of those things might not work out. We all, this is still like you're kind of building in real time. Well, you definitely are building in real time. So you're definitely going to push things out that don't work, and that's okay. But as long as you try to push things out that fit into a larger goal, people see that and people recognize that, and they respond to it. Whereas if you're just like, oh, we're gonna do this and then you're gonna do that, like, I don't want to crap on other projects, but we all know projects that are out there and they launch project 1 and project 2 and project 2A and project 3, and you're like, I don't really like, I've got stuff and that's awesome, but I'll put it like this: there are projects out there that are considered blue chip. And rightfully so. They have huge audiences, and their NFTs are phenomenal. But I know projects, dozens of them, that have more story and more depth and are actually providing more to their holders than some of the biggest projects that are out. The projects might have $1 million, $10 million, $50 million, $100 million, literally hundreds of millions of dollars. But their communities don't actually have as much as the storytelling communities are giving people right now, because that the audience is involved directly and is actually helping in the process of building the thing. And it's such a different approach. It's much harder, but it's so much, I think it's stronger. Like, what do you think?
Yeah. No. I agree with you. I think that it's like screenwriting, right? You really need to know the end of your story. Yeah. Now, you don't know how you're going to get there. And that's the beauty of screenwriting, right? You don't know necessarily what your turning point, to keep it really simple, from Act 1 to Act 2 is, and then from, your midpoint and all the different turns and devices that you might need to go to get down to that path. But I honestly think that maybe this is just me as a screenwriter, but if you have a story inside of you, I think it's far easier to follow the path if you know the destination. Instead, and it's a bit like driving, right? If I know that I'm going to drive across country from New York to LA, and for the most part, I know I'm going from New York to LA. I know that. How am I going to get there? I don't know.
Right.
Can I see more than 20 or 100 or maybe a mile in front of me on Route 66? No. But I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel that that's what I think that's the important part. It's like, and we are building in real time. We're absolutely building.
It's so crazy, right?
Yeah, because we have to. It moves so fast, but the technology changes, and so you want to grab that for the advantage of your community.
Yeah.
Like for me, you want to take everything and be. That's why I say, like, we're really known for dropping alpha, because it's feeding feelers out all the time. Like how, because it's not an ego thing. How can you bring the alpha to your community so they can innovate with their own communities? Right? Because people who have their squad pass, they're building their own communities around their own projects. So I think that we as storytellers know that, I'm the first person to say I refuse to tell you the squad has a roadmap. My roadmap is the bricks that we laid.
Right.
As showing up every day, and just that trust and that confidence that there is something. But at the same time, there is a destination.
Yeah.
I just don't know how we're getting there yet.
Yeah, that's right. That's really fascinating. One of the things that we always talk about, and I've done a lot of mentorship and advising with hundreds of entrepreneurs in my time, just a lot of startups. And one of the things that we always talk about is you think you're taught that success is a straight line, right? You pull the arrow back and you let the arrow fly. You pull the bow back, and the arrow goes straight and it hits the target, bullseye, you win. And that's not what it is. You pull the bow and you let the arrow fly, and what ends up happening is this big spaghetti shape in midair, and then it hits a target. And the goal is not to hit. You don't even know what target you're hitting sometimes, and that's okay. The goal is not the goal is to hit a target, not to try to only hit one, right? If you pull the bow back and you fire that arrow and you're like, I'm only going to go for that one thing. If you miss that, you're fucked. People fall off a cliff. I didn't make it. I didn't do my thing. My destiny has forsaken me. My fate, and all this kind of people just fall off a fucking cliff. But if you're willing to be like, oh, well, I didn't hit that target, but I nailed that one. What is this target over here? Like, if you had told me, like my entire childhood, I put my 10,000 hours in art into comics, and I was going to be a comic artist, a Marvel Comics comic artist, penciler, specific. I toured all up and down the East Coast from the time, even before I could drive. I was hitching a ride with my friends who could drive, going all the way up and down the East Coast to conventions, pitching editors, showing my portfolio. And I did that whole thing for about a decade, from the day one where they're like, man, your anatomy sucks. Hey kid, your anatomy blows. You can't draw. You got to work on backgrounds. You got to work on storytelling. Watch a movie or something because you don't know how to do pacing. Like read a book. Here's some George Bridgman. Here's some storytelling books. Learn about the hero's journey. Like the whole thing. And then at the end of it, it was like, man, this is really good, right? I mean, you go through the whole journey, and then what ended up happening for me anyway was when I graduated school in Atlanta, and I was ready to jump in. I mean, I had all these connections. I was like, this is it. I've been doing this for my whole life. I'm only good for this one thing. This is what I've been training my whole life for, like an athlete. And then the comic market completely crashed. I graduated that summer. It totally tanked. It was gone. Death of Superman was big, and then the whole market completely collapsed. Not only was nobody hiring, but like pros, legends couldn't even get work. Like it was nothing there. And I was like, what do I do now? Because that target that I was aiming for, all of a sudden the target moved, right? And so that's actually what landed me. Like I ended up through a luck and fate, landed at Cartoon Network and started my path down in the same space where I'm drawing every day, creating shit, but started off in Cartoon Network, which if you had told me that was what I was going to do, I would have told you were fucking crazy. And not only that, but TFR, 15 years later, I land at Marvel Comics, New York City. I land at Marvel Comics. I'm working in Marvel Comics. The two guys that I'm with were basically the only guys in what's called the bullpen, which is a world famous, we are the bullpen. We were like the last of the bullpen. And the way that I got into Marvel was because I had all this experience with Cartoon Network and Adult Swim and animation, and that was it. They wanted me in because of that. And if you had told the 13-year-old Todd, if old man Todd had come into little kid Todd and said, "Hey, you're gonna get into Marvel, but the way that you're gonna get into Marvel is through animation," I would have told you were nuts, because that is not a thing that happens. It's still not a thing that happens, but it was what happened for me specifically. And so I think, to your point, Jordan, like you have to, it's okay to not know, you know, the destination is there. You might not just know the steps to get to that destination. So as long as you take one step in front of the other and climb that mountain, you're going to get there.
Absolutely.
You just can't foresee the path that you're going to take. You just don't stop. Just don't stop. It's not hard. You just don't stop.
You can't give up. Yeah. You can't stop. You have to have this Herculean belief in yourself. And I think that those of us who have withstood the rejection in this business and are still standing, it really is. I mean, I'm going to be very current in newsworthy and talking about Serena, you know, and her retirement. I don't think that anything has ever affected me so much in sports, because I don't watch sports. I don't give a fuck. I don't know that I'll ever watch tennis again. I watched it only for her.
Right.
But the thing that that with the grace and the power and dignity and the way that she pursued her goals, and if she fell down, there was no shame in falling down. She just stood back up and went back to work.
Yeah.
And I think that what you're saying is right. You know, it's like, we don't know what the path is going to be. If you take a look at her record, if you just look at one and you think, oh my goodness, you know, she didn't beat Margaret Court, really? I would like for you to take a look at her entire record, and then, I mean, and I'm a big Michael Jordan fan, and then, you know, put Michael Jordan next to that and talk about whether Michael Jordan was pregnant and then like had an embolism and almost died, and et cetera, right? She kept getting up. And now, you know what she said, what she looks forward to in tennis now that like she has nothing to prove. And I think you and I might be there now. And that's the really beautiful thing about building legacy. There's not really anything to prove here, or at least for me.
Right.
There's just purpose and conviction.
Right.
But for her, she just wants to have fun again.
Yeah.
She just wants to go on the tennis court and have fun because she loves it.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that I would love to see, not only for myself as a filmmaker, like to just have fun creating, but also a lot of others. I would love to see more Black women elevated in the filmmaking, you know, world, or Latino or Latina women, and on and on. Do you know what I mean? In the marginalized communities where the mountain is not so hard to climb that you might lose joy halfway up, but
Yes.
that we can make it a world where it's not only sustainable for us, but we can really tap into our joy while we're still doing it.
Oh, I love that. I think that's excellent, man. I think you nailed it. Really quick, I want to say what's up with chat. Massive says, "Sup, let's duck and go."
I love
What's up, Massive? LDG, what's up, dude? Julie Kendra, what's up, Julie? How are you? She says, "I made it. Nice to see you, Jordan." Bad Kitty says, "I agree. Story should come first. It sets up the entire project and community." 100%. And what's interesting too, what I think people miss, is that part of the story is the community.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, the project that you're making, whether it's animation or film or comics or whatever the output is of the project / company, it's an extension of the community and the story that the community tells. Whether they're directly involved or not, they're still telling a story. They're still involved in the making of it, whether you want it or not. I mean, you better accept it, because it's a fact of life, and it's an amazing thing. Julie says, "Hi, Wanish. Thank you for hosting." No worries. Thank you, Julie, for coming. I appreciate it. She says, nice to finally see you, Jordan. I think aesthetics, characters, and location are key. Knowing the end would be nice, but where's the fun in that? I am signing up for the ride. I think that's it. That is a huge thing. I think we all have. You know, I think really, you know, any project owner, and this is maybe I'm being too transparent here, but I think any project owner that says that they're like locked down, they got all this shit figured out, and that everything is like on point, and like that's complete bullshit. Every single, I don't care how much money is in the bank, every single founder that's doing a project or in charge of a company that's in Web3, their job is to put out fires all day and night. That's the job. That's the job. Your job is to put out fires, right? That's it. That's what the job is. And so, and especially in a cutting edge situation like this, those fires hit fast and quick, like, and come out of nowhere sometimes. But anyone who's like cool as a cucumber and is like pretends like they got it locked down, I promise you, behind the scenes, they're the people flipping tables because some shit's going down. Like it is a very difficult thing. And so we are all for sure, Julie, like signed up for the ride. Like we're all there. Luis Venegas says, hello. What's up, Luis? Thank you, brother, for showing up. He says, you guys rock. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So Jordan, you mentioned, we talked a lot about like not necessarily knowing the whole path of the journey, but kind of knowing, you know the destination, you know, you kind of have it up here, up in the head, and you know where you're going. So, but even if we don't know the actual, like all of the steps, like what's the next step for you guys? Like where's the squad heading like next?
Oof, what a great question. Well, you know, it's always been about creating a better future for filmmakers, right? And every day I feel like there's a new piece of information that comes up that we can kind of digest and add to the arsenal to make the case that film 3 and a future and the innovation that it's the next wave of cinema. We have been amplifying many projects, and we'll continue to do that as the projects come in. You know, we will keep trying to find the ones that truly move with the core ethos of Web3. That's always really important. I think we've been fairly successful. I don't think that we've actually, in all of these months and all of these shows, I don't think we've actually ever highlighted or spotlighted someone who rugged anyone. So we do our due diligence on the people that we spotlight. We have the Film 3 Summit, and I think that's going to be a seminal moment. That's Los Angeles, October 21st to 23rd.
Awesome.
The squad member pass that's minting now, that actually serves as your all access ticket to the summit. So if you can get there and you have a squad member pass, it's your first IRL utility, and that's going to be really cool because we have some pretty fucking amazing icons, not only in Web3, coming in as far as like musicians and artists that that we're curating for like an exhibition and then a concert. But we also have incredible panels. I mean, that's what I put together for 18 months. Panels. That's what we do, right? So we've got some extraordinary. I had to like really pare it down to what's most essential. And what's most essential right now is we're trying to bridge, legacy Hollywood to this new innovative pathway. Is if you're a filmmaker, what are the things that you want to know how to do? You want to know how to finance your film. That's number one. That's what we all want. How am I going to get money to make my film? So, the panels are going to really focus on, I think, the basics, because it's a lot about onboarding and educating. So this is how you fund your film. Like, these are different NFT strategies. These are how we're bridging Hollywood. This is the new distribution platforms that are being built out by some of the really innovative, people here building out Film 3. So I think that's our focus right now. That's that takes us to October, and then beyond that, we have something kind of special happening in March in LA as well.
All right.
And yeah, I mean, I would like to say we have a project, or but again, it's like it's listening to the community, um, and figuring out what's the best way to use our treasury now that we have a little one, to multiply our building power. So I think that that's kind of where we are. I'd love to surprise and delight, and I do have some things that I've had since July 2021. Like for instance, we're doing an artist reveal in on the 14th of our member pass. So right now it's this super like low res like JPEG that everybody's like, yeah, yeah, and I'm like, oh my god, low res JPEG, but okay, I love that you love us. There's actually a 3D thing that's going to reveal an artist on the other side of it. So I want to, and Julian, my partner, is amazing. Julian Flores, he is truly like, he's a connector. He's connecting all of these different and Film 3 communities and people coming in. He's the great connector, and he's got great ideas. And so I'm really trying not to sound vague, because
It's so hard. I know the
not,
announcement. I am
every day.
raising my hand. I am notorious for the announcement of the announcement.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the announcement of the announcement. There's some really cool things coming down the pike, and I will tell you there are 3 people that have seen the mind map. Three. Julian, and I'm gonna shout out Mihai, has seen the mind map, and so has Stephen from Bingeable. Those 3 guys have seen the mind map, and I've gotten the stamp of approval, and all 3 of them are super successful businessmen. I'm just a filmmaker out here fucking around.
I love it. I love it. Well, where can everybody find you? Where should we point them to?
Oh, right. Well, you just have to kind of forgive our website right now. It needs some housekeeping. But you can always find me on Twitter. I don't know if I know my Twitter handle exactly. It might be just Jordan Bayne. And then the NFT Film Squad Twitter handle. You can find us there. And you can find us 4 times a week on Twitter Spaces. The OG Room with me on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern. And then we have our Media 3 Mondays at 1 p.m. Eastern. We have the Bilingual Room with Film Frico and Gino, 2 amazing filmmakers, one from Colombia and one from Argentina. They run a space for us on Fridays at 1, and then we have the Saturday Matinee with Jason Charnick, which is truly something you all must experience. It's a rocket fuel 1 hour. He's awesome, and that's 2 p.m. on Eastern. So that's where you can find us. We also have a Discord. I mean, we're doing all those DJ things.
That's awesome. The Young Hollywood Blast welcome says essential panels happen on the weekly at the squad. Yeah, awesome.
Times.
Well, hell yeah. Well, Jordan, thank you so much for your time. This was fantastic.
This was awesome. I actually thought we were going to fuck around a little bit more, like talk about Brooklyn.
We'll do that in the green room afterwards.
Me. But no, thank you for this was great questions. Like no one's asked me these questions. And so
good.
I was able to maybe riff a little bit differently, and that was really nice. Thank you.
Awesome. I appreciate it. We'll hang out for a second. We'll talk about Brooklyn in the green room just 1 second. But for everybody else, in the meantime, everybody, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for showing up as always. We certainly appreciate you. We love you guys. And yeah, please, by all means, go check out the squad at nftfilmsquad.io. Check out the handles. Go find Jordan online. Go to those links that you were saying for Twitter. Go check it out. Because the squad is real, the squad is awesome, and we certainly appreciate them. And yeah, Jordan, thank you again.
Thanks. Thank you very much. This was awesome. Cannot wait to share this with everybody.
Absolutely. And in the meantime, everybody, thank you again. Love you guys. Peace out. God bless. See you.